G'day there guys, just want to wish you a very merry May. It's your main man Markee with his little son Trousers. I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the Barbie, and get ready for some Am I the A-hole content. Let's go. Posted by user Maybe Too Far, titled, Am I the A-hole for getting mad at a friend who keeps joking that her baby is mine? So I, 23 male, work at this small shop and I've known my friend Addie for almost 2 years. She likes to joke that we're work spouses because we always work the same shifts and get along. Addie doesn't say it all the time, so it didn't bother me before. She got pregnant 5 months ago, and I guess she's planning on doing it on her own. But a couple months ago, she started making jokes that I'm her baby's daddy. The first time she made a joke, we were in the break room. Her feet were really tired, and she wanted the good chair that we have in there with the comfy cushion. I was already sitting there, and she said something like, "Hey bear, move along. Your baby mama needs that seat." By the way, bear isn't a big deal since we talk to each other like that sometimes. I looked at her because I was confused. I took it as she was joking, so I told her to shut up because that baby isn't mine. Addie made a few more jokes like that, or asking me to make myself useful to help her with stuff at work because she's carrying my kid. She's only made a few of these around me, and I've told her to stop bullcrapping. One time I was closing up with my coworker, and she goes, "Hey, so is it true then?" Then she says she thought we were just messing around, but that Addie was saying we hooked up once, and I'm definitely likely the daddy. Everyone was starting to wonder now because she said it a lot of times when I'm not around, and that's just not even close to being true. Seriously, what the hell? I have a girlfriend that I've been with for 5 years. Next time I saw Addie was before our shift was starting, and I asked her what the hell she's been telling everyone. Like, why would she even make crap up about us hooking up, because she's the last person I'd ever sleep with? Addie got super upset about it because to her, she was just joking around, and I don't have to snap at her. But it just made me so mad that she was telling this to everyone behind my back. Our other co-workers around us saw, so she got all emotional and went to the bathroom. We're not talking to each other, but she said that I was such a dick for getting mad at her jokes when she wasn't being serious and embarrassing her in front of everyone. Now I don't know if I was being an a-hole or not. I think maybe 1 or 2 of those would have been a joke and be like, haha, no, he's not actually the baby daddy, I would never. But she continued to say it, and to her it felt like a joke, but to everyone else, they took it seriously, and you took it seriously? That really goes far beyond the realm of a joke, and it's not cool to continue that, especially when asked multiple times to knock it off, please stop saying that, it's not true. Like, why would you want to fabricate them hooking up? That can be a bad look in workplaces. You don't want to mix work and pleasure. That's usually not too good. I've had managers in McDonald's before have to transfer out of the store because of relations with people below them. That's obviously a minor example, but if you do it, you want to keep it under wraps, not parade it around to everyone. It's a pretty tacky look. So I'm gonna have to go not the a-hole for this one. She got what she had coming, in all honesty. Now in the comments, T27Line says, "Not the a-hole. This wasn't a joke. She lied and told people that you slept together so they would believe the baby was yours. You need to go and talk to someone in HR immediately and file a report. This isn't going to go well, and you need to have documentation about what has been going on." Absolutely right. You might feel bad about it, but there is way more going on here than a simple joke gone wrong. Seconded. Not the a-hole OP, but she sounds like a crappy friend. Crappy friend is a pretty light term for what she's actually doing, hey? Sounds like she may have even been blurring her own reality. Good for OP for nipping that crap in the bud, but I have a feeling this drama is not over yet. I just hope she doesn't double down and tell the other employees that OP was lying. She could, but a DNA test would drop that flat. She could deny it, but when courts become a thing, cause, let's be honest, she might try to get support, then there will certainly be a paternity test involved by the courts. Is this based in reality, or is this a huge extrapolation? Cause I'm lost. Tonks Lupin 1313 says, "Not the a-hole. That's more than a joke. It's a really harmful accusation. Give your girlfriend a heads up in case Addie goes psycho. And OP replies, I told my girlfriend that time when I got home after my coworker told me, so she knows what's up. Out of curiosity, how did your girlfriend react, lol? Also, is it possible that Addie may be trying to ruin your relationship because she has feelings for you? That's not something you jokingly say about anyone, but especially not someone in a long-term relationship. And OP replies, she was surprised and kinda pissed at her. She said something like, oh my god, what a dumb bitch. If she can get your girlfriend to visit you at work, tell her to bring your lunch. You'll get a load of bonus points for being a cute couple. And AmITheA says, not the a-hole. You need to take this to your HR or your manager, preferably in writing. Be calm and professional, stick to the facts, not emotions or judgment calls. Say something like, Addie has made multiple comments in the workplace, leading other employees to believe her child is mine and that we had a sexual relationship. We have never had a sexual relationship of any kind, and I am not the father of her child. Addie's behavior is creating a work environment where I do not feel comfortable. She's creating a textbook definition of a hostile work environment. It's definitely an uncomfortable environment, but this is not the right term for it. A hostile work environment would also need to involve discrimination of a protected classification, religion, race, disability, etc. No? But spreading rumors claiming to have had sex with a coworker is at least sexual harassment, so he can go with that. Our next post is by user RicarR11, titled, Am I the a-hole for calling the bride-to-be manipulative and awful after she treated us like servants and cash machines? So a childhood friend, 32 male, decided to get married this year and has been with his significant other, 33 female, for a few years now. He changed slowly. He stopped going to soccer practice and games, only spent time at work and home, stopped seeing his family and friends, and all of us have been rather concerned about that. We talked to him and asked if everything's alright, but as he's a man, talking about his feelings and his well-being seems forced, and he normally just pushes our concerns away. We tried to meet with her as well a few times, but we could hardly get to know her. In those 4 years, even his parents only met her 3 times for less than an hour because she's a busy person, she said. Last year, he suddenly announced that he wants to marry his significant other. They have been together for only 3 years, with the occasional breakup. After every breakup, he went back and alienated us more and more. The bride asked us some weeks ago to contribute, emphasized on perfection, dedication, and simply started to give out tasks, without us even agreeing on helping out. I literally received an email from her with my tasks to complete within a deadline one day, without warning or knowing. His relatives and friends talked this over, and we agreed on helping, but it turned out all to be terrible. The wedding is over the top, she expects the groom's family to pay for everything, and even told us to chip in. A few days ago, it became ridiculously sad. I received calls from a carriage rental, a pigeon guy, and a bird rental. I didn't even know this exists, and they told me about the bride's plan to have birds placed all over, some flying through the sky while she comes in with a horse carriage. I told the groom's father about the expenses, and he simply started laughing and said that he won't pay a dime for this wedding anymore, and that they agreed on a simple wedding, not a Disney movie set. The groom's friends met for our weekly socializing and discussed what has happened, most of them being relieved and the others just being happy. Suddenly, the bride came by, stormed in, and accused us of sabotaging this marriage, the wedding, and her life. After a drama class performance and lots of screaming and pretend crying, I told her that not only has she been self-centered and inconsiderate, but she's now nothing but manipulative and simply awful. I lashed out a bit about her controlling behavior regarding our groom friend, and that all of this just became ridiculous. She didn't say a word and simply went. The friend group agreed and also told the group that they won't help anymore if the wedding isn't reasonable and if she doesn't start being cooperative. The groom called me up today and said I need to fix this. I was an a-hole for being so harsh to her, and she hasn't stopped crying since then. I declined, as I think I simply told the truth. So, am I the a-hole? My God, she sounds like she's living in a different dimension to all of us. She just refuses to ever meet anyone in person for more than 30 minutes, including the in-laws. They break up and get back together so many times. Then she just dumps all of these expectations on people to plan her wedding and pay for it all. And then she comes and is manipulative and crying and screaming at them. And then after being told the truth, she hasn't stopped crying since then. If that's true, she really needs some help. No normal person cries for that amount of time. She'd need to be stocking up on McDonald's chips just to get that sodium back in her body. But I guess, being such a salty person, we wouldn't even need to do that, right? I'm surprised you're able to put up with all of this for so long, but it is a friend of yours, you see the friend is in need, you want to help the friend. I can't blame you for telling the truth to them. Yeah, you were rude to his significant other, but that's after months of vitriol from that significant other. I would say she deserved it, and if you're ever an a-hole in this situation, it is justified. And I would go as far as to say so justified that you're not even an a-hole for that. So my vote is not the a-hole. Now in the comments, GW2K Pro says, I wouldn't spend a nickel on that wedding or more than 60 seconds helping out. They'll be separated again in a couple of months, not the a-hole. On another note, why would you even want to go to the wedding of two awful people? Take whatever time and money you would have spent on those people and go hang out with people who are interested in being friends. Well, one awful person and one potentially emotionally abused male friend who could hopefully use this as an eye-opening experience. Agreed. Save your cash, take him on a trip in lieu of a wedding once they break up, again. Not the a-hole. I was thinking prepay a few hours with a divorce lawyer, as a wedding gift. If he was going to have an eye-opening experience, it would have happened by now. Best to just let go. Nah, don't ever close that door, OP. The best thing you can do for someone in an abusive relationship is to be there when they finally need you. The groom right now is still being manipulated by the bride, but eventually he'll wise up. When he does, he'll need all the help he can get from people who actually care about him. Quote, the groom called me up today and said I need to fix this. What you need to do to fix this mess is help him get out of this BS relationship. It's painfully obvious she's emotionally abusive. The fact that he stopped meeting you guys, his family, even his parents never saw her for more than 4 hours total in 4 years, and stopped doing what he likes, which is soccer I assume, is textbook behavior of victims. She, the predator, didn't want anyone to see how she was eating him away. And the fact that he's a man most certainly comes because of how she treats him, and how she would berate him, I believe, unless he was always like this. Please clarify, OP. Is your friend that blinded by love that he's lost his common sense? His rosy glasses are showing him the crimson flags as pinkish or just flags. Edit to add, didn't know about BoJack Horseman. Save him, not the a-hole. You can't save someone who doesn't want to save themselves. Right now, it doesn't seem like the groom is ready to be saved yet, but it's always good to let him know that if anything happens and he needs out, you will be there for him, no questions asked. There's a documentary about this very situation. I believe it's called Saving Silverman. That being said, you can't force a victim out of a relationship. Unfortunately, that gives the abuser ammunition. See? They don't care about you. They just decided they don't like me and they want to break us up. Alternatively, I don't understand. I tried so hard. I included them in our wedding and now they just want to break us up? I really wish you could protect me from them. Which is why these situations are so delicate. If you're too insistent, the person feels like they just can't talk to you. They know you'll just tell them to leave the abuser and possibly get frustrated with them, so they'll keep things from you and isolate themselves. On the other hand, if you're antagonizing the abuser directly, they'll do what I described above and use it as justification for why cutting you off is the best thing for their couple, or other relationships. And your friend is more isolated. Supporting someone who is in an abusive relationship is very difficult, and not everyone will be okay doing it. At the end of the day, you do have to put yourself first, so if it's too much for you, you are never to blame. If you need to take a step back from a relationship because of this, it's not your fault. OP, it's up to you to figure out if you're going to be okay supporting him. Here's a link to start off if you want to. I'm going to put that link down in the description below under this video. It's a link to safehorizon.org if anyone feels like they need to help friends out in abusive relationships. Maybe this could help. Or maybe it's just a good read, who knows. And our next post is by user EmergencySoil985, titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to help my daughter pay for college? So I, 48 male, have 3 children with my ex. My son Joe, who's 24, and my 2 daughters Jane, 21, and Amy, who's 19. After the children were born, my great-grandmother started a small education fund for each of them that I have now since controlled since her passing. There weren't any specific criteria for this fund within the context of the law or bank policy because of the type of fund that my great-grandmother started. I've added my own money to the fund, and my parents have occasionally put in some cash, but it was never expected. My ex never put a dime into it, but always wanted to have equal control of it, and every time I refused, she would get upset. Over the years, she's tried to say that she needed money from the fund for expenses for the kids, citing that the child support I was paying wasn't enough. I still refused, and said that just to send me the bill, and I'll pay for it directly. She didn't want that, and would shut up after I asked how she could be so desperate for money for our kids, but refused to give any details. Fast forward to when Joe was going to college, and I told my son to just give me enough information so that I can pay the school every semester and he would be good. My ex tried to convince him to get me to give him all the money so that way he could have his privacy. My son did consider it, but decided that he'd rather I just do this for him because he was worried of blowing through the money. And I was proud of him. Jane, however, gave into her mum's way of thinking and insisted that I just give her the entire fund during her second year. I tried to convince her that this way was the best and pointed at how well this worked out for her brother. Jane just called me controlling and said that I didn't respect her enough to let her make her own choices. Eventually I relented, but made it clear that this was all the money that there was for her for college. That once it's gone, and she was on her own if she needed more. Everything seemed fine up until about a few weeks ago, and Jane called crying, saying that she wasn't going to finish because she ran out of money. I asked her what happened, and surprise, surprise, Jane gave money to my ex. I let her vent, and then told her that everything was going to be okay. That while she may not graduate by a certain time, she can still finish school. She'll just need to apply for grants, scholarships, loans, and maybe even take a year off to just work. Then I told her how I would tell the school how she was on her own so she could get more money. Both Jane and my ex are upset with me because they expect me to pay for her schooling and that I was being horrible for wanting her to struggle with loans. To me, this isn't about being petty, but rather giving Jane a hard lesson. She wanted to be treated like an adult. Well, finding your own way is what adults do. Joe agrees with me, but now Amy is being pressured to access her fund to help her sister. Technically, I could help, but I'd rather Jane work for it herself. Am I the a-hole? Edit to add, because I saw this question and wanted to clarify. 1. Each fund is separate and in each child's specific name. I added money in equally to all of them, but technically, Joe ended up with a lesser amount because the funds were created at the same time for each child, so Jane and Amy's funds had more time to grow with interest. 2. Also, when each of my kids entered high school, I made them authorized users on one of my credit cards that I always paid fully on time to help build up their credit score so Jane can use that to her advantage. 3. By their senior year of high school, each of my children were told how much money they would have for college, and that if there was any left over by the time they graduated, it was theirs to do with as they pleased. 4. Joe and Jane both went to in-state universities to save money, but Amy is considering going out of state, so she's really going to need every penny from the fund. She's even taking a year off before applying just to work so she can save more money. It's one of the reasons her mother and sister are using to justify Amy giving Jane some of her money. And 5, we're American and living in the United States. I'm not gonna lie, they're 21 and 19 years old. I'm sure we can give them the benefit of the doubt that they don't know any better. I'm sure we can, but I don't want to. I want to yell at these girls for giving in to their manipulative mother. It's so obvious. It is so obvious that she's just trying to rip that money off and spend it on herself. They have the ability to stop that from happening, and yet Jane gave into it. And now they want to band together to guilt trip Amy to give money to them so the ex can spend it too. I just want to grab them and scream, "Don't be so stupid. Don't be so dumb." Do you not see there is a snake in that tree that's telling you, yes, eat the apple. Nothing bad's gonna happen, just eat the apple. It's a trap, goddammit, don't fall for the trap. It even pisses me off more that OP can't actually do anything in this situation. He had authority over those finances until they're 18 years old, but after that, it's up to them to do what they wish with it. If I was in that situation, I'd be really, really pissed off if they'd spent that money and then they come begging to me and then yelling at me saying, "Oh my god, you're supposed to bail me out. You're a toxic piece of crap. I'm the ex. I don't have any money. This is your problem. I spent it. And I knowingly manipulated my kids to get money from them, and now I've screwed their futures over for now." God, you're such a terrible person, OP. OP says down below they think they're the a-hole because their lack of willingness to help is negatively impacting one daughter while the other could learn a harsh lesson in a bad way. I don't have kids, so I can't particularly speak on how bad I feel about this situation because I can't particularly empathize. But yeah, if I was in this situation, I'd feel like a terrible person. I'd feel like I saw this coming from a mile away, and there's nothing I could do to stop it, and now that I'm in this situation, I feel like a terrible person, because I'm trying to teach them a lesson, but look, they're so upset, that's my kid, I can't let them suffer like this. You've already helped as much as you can, OP. You're just refusing to help further. That's perfectly fine. They're adults now, they need to understand the consequences of their action, they're feeling it, and they don't like it. They're very uncomfortable. They're in that hot pan in the fire. I say continue to give them good advice, let them continue to get burnt until they learn how to, navigate this situation, then save them when push comes to shove. Save them in whatever way you think is necessary, but I don't think you're the a-hole in this situation. Now in the comments, St. Alvis says, "Not the a-hole. And you're doing yourself a major disservice with this post title. You did help pay for your daughter to go to college. A valuable lesson for your daughter to learn while she's still young, and it keeps it even with the other two kids. I think the biggest lesson she needs to learn is to not trust her mother." No, you're right, the mother sounds like she simply wants the money to spend. Not the a-hole. Both Jane and my ex are upset with me because they expect me to pay for her schooling. You did. Jane is 21, and why she's crying to and guilt-tripping you about this while her mother coaches her instead of turning around and saying, "Mum, I need that money back," speaks volumes about how manipulative your ex is. If there's any way you can directly pay the school for Amy's costs instead of allowing her access, I recommend you do so. You can help protect her from her mother. Right? That's so screwed up to me. My ex is upset with me? Well, she was the one who took the money from your daughter. She is the one OP and the daughter should be upset with. That ex is a piece of work. I can guarantee you that this is only the beginning. As those kids grow up and get jobs, she's going to be all up in their finances asking for money. "Oh, you got a raise? Oh, your spouse got a raise? Your vacation sounds expensive. You must be doing pretty well." OP better get his will in order and establish some airtight regulations on how funds from his estate go to his children and what they can cover. OP should have a conversation with his adult children about their mother and her toxicity. She might just be bad with money, or she might be an addict. They could benefit from his experience with toxic relatives. No, no, no. As an adult who grew up with divorced parents, never, never, never badmouth the other parents to your child, period. As tempting as it sounds, no. This is still their mother, no matter what. There will come a time, maybe not today or tomorrow, but a time when their eyes will be fully opened, and they will be so grateful that OP never said a negative word about their mother. OP was just there supporting them and said nothing to them about their mum. The issue is, when children's eyes are blinded to the parents' faults, they will rebel against anyone who says anything negative and defend like crazy. OP needs to be neutral. Prepare for the fallout, but be neutral. The children need to come to their own realizations about their mother. She's not a child anymore. She's an adult woman who's now facing adult financial decisions. Had she known her mother's financial history when she went off to college, she might have made different choices. When she's facing loan repayments 6 months after graduation, I promise you she won't be thinking, "Wow, I'm so grateful Dad never said a bad word about Mum." She'll probably be thinking, "If I had known Mum was never going to pay me back, I wouldn't have given her a cent." Our next post is by user Sport Representative 6, titled, "Am I the a-hole for refusing to return my late wife's ring to the family? Throwaway account as the family are on Reddit, but I really need help. I'm so frustrated and confused right now. So I, female 30, married my wife, female 36, a year ago. We've been together for 6 years, married for 1 before she passed away. It has been a really rocky time for me, and I'm still struggling but getting there day by day. My wife had been close with her grandmother when she was growing up, and when she passed away, her grandmother left her a beautiful ring which had been in the family for generations. My wife used this ring to propose to me, and it also became my wedding ring. I've worn it every day since she gave it to me, and it truly is my most precious item from her. It feels like she's with me always, and when I look at it, it brings my heart some happiness to remember our time together. My wife even spent money on the ring to get it restored, as it had a few cosmetic faults. But by doing this, it more or less doubled the value too. It is very unique and shaped like a snake with diamonds in its head and rubies for the eyes. The diamond was cracked and the blue enamel needed repairing, which she did before proposing. My brother-in-law has now decided to propose to his girlfriend, and he wants to use the snake ring as their grandmother wanted the ring to be used as an engagement ring for when one of her grandchildren wanted to marry. A first-come, first-serve situation, although it was never really expected her granddaughter would be doing the proposing. It was always assumed the boys would offer it to their girlfriends, but my wife got there and did it first, and that was that. It was never really questioned either, as my wife and she had been so close too. Nobody had any objections at the time, as the ring was still within the family, and neither of my brother-in-laws were anywhere near getting engaged. I refused to give the ring back, and now I've caused a huge rift within my family-in-law. My mother-in-laws and brother-in-laws are all calling me an a-hole, as they want the ring to continue being part of their family and to be passed down in the generations as it was expected to. I am distraught. My wife and I were not big sentimental gift givers, and this is honestly the only thing she was truly proud to gift me. It was a huge deal for us, and meant the world to both of us. My family-in-law have also thrown in my face that the grandmother wouldn't even have wanted me to have it since she was Russian and would be very much against a same-sex couple. This really hurts and feels like a low blow, as although it's definitely true, I was accepted by my family-in-law. The grandmother had long been gone before I met my wife. They are now saying that it should go to the boys as she intended. It's all got really nasty, and I just don't know what to do. The family have even offered to buy the ring off of me for the full value of the ring with the repairs, but I refuse. It is the only thing I have of my wife, and parting with it feels like the only piece I have left of my broken heart being taken away. Am I the a-hole? And edit, oh, I wasn't expecting such a huge response from this, and I wanted to thank everyone for your replies. I'm working through them, and I just wanted to give you all a bit more information based on some of your comments. No, my wife and I did not have children. Grandma definitely wouldn't have accepted the relationship. She was very old-fashioned, shall we say. There are lots of comments about leaving the ring in my will, which I think is a great idea. I hadn't been able to think clearly since this all happened, because I felt stricken with grief again after the shock of being asked. I'm going to speak with my mother-in-law and brother-in-law ASAP, and see if I can offer the ring to brother-in-law's future children in my will. I don't want to part the family from the ring, but I don't want to part with it in my lifetime, so I'm hoping this can be resolved. I will post an update as soon as I have spoken to everyone. For those who have mentioned about giving it up if I remarry, I couldn't possibly answer this question at this point in time. My grief is blinding. To think about loving anybody else in the world feels absolutely impossible. This is very loaded, and I can see why you might feel like you're the a-hole in this situation, because you're getting such a strong reaction from your family-in-law, and you're going through so much grief right now, and it's unexpected that they would attack you so much so, and then go as low as to say that the grandmother wouldn't have accepted this. She hated same-sex couples. She would have hated you. That's just so supportive and lovely to hear. I'm sure that the wife, rest in peace, would have loved to hear this from her family, and I'm sure she would have condoned that message. That really just goes to show that these are not good people, and in these desperate times to try and get the ring off of you, they will go as low as possible to try and guilt you to get that ring back. I think them showing their hand like that warrants you completely cutting them off. If they can harbor that much resentment and then just unleash it all on you and show how bigoted and disgusting they are, I don't think you should have any sympathy for them. I don't think that ring should be kept in the family. I personally wouldn't do it. I would take so much offense to their actions that I would completely cut all of them off. And I don't particularly blame you for wanting to keep it back in the family, as it does have so much sentimental value for them. I would suggest sit on this for a few years and really think about the situation, not the a-hole. Now in the comments, Seriously Effed Mind says, not the a-hole. I'm sorry for your loss and this additional pain on top of it. Widows aren't usually expected to return their wedding ring. And OP replies, thank you, this helps. I would tell them that if they can be decent, civil people to you, a person who was a member of their family for 6 years, you are willing to leave the ring to a family member someday in your will. Thus, it will return to the family when you are done with it. But if they continue to be entitled a-holes and disrespecting your partner's memory, they will never see it again. You are undoubtedly the rightful owner of the ring. They are being homophobic and just fudging awful. I'm so sorry for your loss, and that they are treating you like this. Not the a-hole. Of course it would destroy any chance of civility to say so, but Christ, their daughter would be so effing ashamed of them. That should be more than enough to invalidate the dead grandma was a homophobe argument. Grandma gave her granddaughter a ring ostensibly designed for a woman's hand. I feel like this whole family is pulling that thing where they assume old people are universally stupid and conservative when they really aren't. Often the latter perhaps, but come on. I bet that OP's wife came out to Grandma first, or Grandma picked it up because old people know things, and Grandma was just hush-hush about it, except for giving her the ring. Maybe she knew the rest of the family high-key suck, and figured it was her little way of offering perpetual support even after she was gone. All that to say, you keep that ring, OP. Not the a-hole. It's your ring, not theirs. The moment your wife gave it to you, any rights they had to it disappeared. A widow is not expected to return the ring, and that's what you are. Especially with the homophobic comments, I'd tell them to beat it. Your wife would be ashamed to see them acting so horrifically. And OP replies, she would be completely mortified, and I told them that too, which didn't go down very well. I can imagine it didn't, but that doesn't mean that it shouldn't have been said. They are disrespecting her by treating you so badly, and frankly, that's disgusting behavior. I'm livid for you. Alright guys, that's the end of the video. Friendly reminder that I'm now posting daily on my second channel, Markee 2. If you want to laugh at memes with me, link is down in the description below. On phone, you just click that little arrow underneath the video. I also want to say thank you to all my channel members and Patreon subscribers. Your names are currently floating down the screen here, and I love to see all of you guys. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Thank you for supporting me. I really appreciate it. If you see yourself on screen, I want you to give yourself a big pat on the back for being amazing as always, and thank you for supporting me again. I do hope that you guys have a good day, night, sleep, whatever it is you're up to. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.